This was Greg's list. It was just 2 days ago. Number 1 on my list, Jacob Wilson. Why Jacob Wilson? He's only hitting .337 on the year. He's making the big leagues look easy. And Jacob kind enough to join us right now on MLB Tonight. Good to see you, Jacob. .337. I mean, look, you've always been able to hit. There's a reason you were drafted in the first round. But did you expect to hit the ground running in 2025 in the big leagues quite like this?
No, not as much, as it's been so far. But, being able to work with these hitting coaches, every day, being able to talk to them, build plans on the pitchers that we've been facing every day. It's been great, to be able to have them kind of in the cage, work with me every day, and just kind of making adjustments here and there, and just focusing on how the pitchers have been attacking me, and really just going, changing the approach every day, depending on how the pitchers have been working me, and just going with the approach into the game.
Hey, Jacob, it's Harold here. Congrats on the great start. It's always nice to get off to a good start. I remember watching video of you in college at Grand Canyon. And I was like, man, he's got a funky stance. He drops down and swings and hits. And I'm sitting there going, he's had to have been doing that for a long period of time. Take me through that little drop that you do. Have you always done that?
Yeah. My dad kind of built my swing at a young age, and it really went back to getting into that stance. Being able to stand tall and then kind of getting that knee load back and kind of the backside. And ever since I was a kid, I've been doing it. And, going into college, started in high school, getting into college and into pro ball, it just kind of, kept going with it. It felt comfortable. It's always been comfortable for me. I know it, kind of looks weird to the outside eye, but, it's always been, comfortable to me. And, I just, go out there every day and, just try to go have fun, go play the game I love. That we grew up trying to, be here and be in this spot. So really just going out there every day, just having fun and, like I said, building approaches.
I know your dad's been your coach, your whole life, basically, even in college. Did anybody in pro ball try to change that at all?
Yeah, no, not really so far. Ever since I got drafted, they kind of let me do my thing. And, a couple adjustments here and there have happened, but, the whole stance really hasn't changed much, since college. And, they, like I said,
they're not changing it now. I guarantee you that. That ain't happening. Go ahead, Dan's got a question for you.
Jacob, I have a medical question. Are you allergic to walks?
I've been getting this one a lot the last couple of days. I've been getting a lot. But, I just, I never really got up to the plate, trying to walk. I've always gone out there to hit. And, it's coming, eventually. It's baseball, it's going to happen. But, right now I'm just going out there and just trying to put the ball in play and get on base for my team.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I want to share this with you. Not only has Jacob Wilson not seen ball 4 this year, he hasn't even seen ball 3.
Oh, I love it.
Jacob, we want the ball in play, and it's good for the game to watch the best hitters touch the baseball. You're not even letting the counts get deeper. Now, Harold said, has anyone in pro ball tried to change your swing? Has anyone in pro ball tried to get you to take more pitches yet?
We've had conversations about it, in the cage, and just kind of going back to it, I've always, I go up to them, they're like, hey, don't change a thing, just keep working with your approach. And, obviously, throughout the season, you're going to have to make some adjustments, but, right now, just keep doing your thing. And, I'm big on putting the ball in play, trying to, you never know, defense can make an error, take a bad hop or, get a hit and you're on base for your team. And then, 2 swings later, you're scoring or in scoring position. And
just keep raking. Just keep swinging.
Yeah, when you're leading the team in doubles, when you get a double, you drive in 2, no one's going, hey, Jacob, on that double, the ball was out of the zone. You chased a little bit. No one's doing that. Just keep hitting the ball.
There's some knuckleheads out there thinking.
I know. I got to ask you about this guy, Nick Kurtz. You've seen him up close. Yeah. We're all excited to watch the former 4th overall pick out of Wake Forest. Give us, we try to break players down, but you're his teammate. You're in the minor leagues for a little bit with him. Give me your assessment. Put your scouting cap on, Jacob. What do you think of Nick Kurtz?
Yeah, going back to last year when he was, Wake Forest, he put together, I think, a crazy week where he had, crazy, I think it was 6 homers in like 3 games or something like that. And we kind of just, put kind of notice on his name. And, going back, I kind of just, we were in college at the same time, so I remember the name for sure. And, going to spring training this year, just being able to see what his work ethic is, before the game and then how he takes his approach into going into the game. It's a crazy, he has crazy good swing decisions on top of the crazy power that he brings to the table. And, we're super happy to have him here, and we're expecting him to, be a great guy to add to the lineup, and we're excited to see kind of how he goes about his day.
You're not the baby on the team anymore, man. You're a veteran now.
I don't know about a veteran. He was just number 1 on Greg's list, top rookies. The irony does not get lost on me that the franchise that had Moneyball, where it was all about walking and getting on base, has this rookie phenom that it doesn't want to walk. He wants to hit doubles and triples.
I love it.
Jacob Wilson, keep doing your thing. We're a big fan of yours, all right? Part of our showcase broadcast is the great John Paul Morosi. He is on the field at Wrigley. JP, good to see you. The Cardiac Cubs do it again, huh?
Remarkable, Greg, and good evening from the friendly confines. We've got a great feature department at MLB Network that works on those best games of the year reviews at the end. I think last night's game heavily bookmarked with those amazing highlights from last night. A late home run from Kyle Tucker. Miguel Amaya had the tying shot in the ninth, and here was Ian Happ, the walk-off hit in extra innings. Certainly so many storylines for the Cubs last night. They do it against in the ninth inning. Tanner Scott, who nearly signed with the Cubs during the offseason. So certainly remember that storyline as well. And for Craig Counsell, year 2 for him in Chicago, that's the kind of game that he came here to manage in. A raucous atmosphere. Both teams had a 5-run inning last night following up that historic game the Cubs played against the D-backs last week. And Greg, because I listened well to our teammate Dan Plesac, the first thing I did upon arriving to Wrigley today was check the flags. Is the wind blowing in or out? Now last night, Dan, it was blowing out. It was blowing out last Friday. It's pretty still right now. And I remember this, Dan Plesac saying, anytime he showed up to Wrigley and the flags were either still or in, a big smile on the face of our friend Dan Plesac.
Yeah, and what would happen when they were blowing out? You make up some sort of sickness.
John, that's when you come up with a sore throat and you tell the manager, I'd love to pitch, but I can't go today. Throat's killing me.
Oh, it's so good. You know who's been killing the opposition? Is Kyle Tucker. There was hype when they acquired him. JP, he's exceeded the hype, has he not?
He has, Greg, and I love the way you frame that question because when you come in, contract year, a lot of talk about would he sign an extension or not. All he has come in and done is produce. And certainly, I think you'll have to ask Dan how a lefty-lefty would approach him because, as Craig Counsell said earlier today, you love watching him play and you love managing him because you don't have to worry about the matchups. He gets everybody. He hits lefties, he hits righties. He is quite simply one of the best offensive players in the game, and the numbers affirm that. There he is, ranking 4th on that list. Judge, Alonso Aranda with a great start to the year in Tampa, and Cedric Mullins for the Baltimore Orioles. Certainly he's someone, and Craig Counsell said this, Kyle Tucker keeps such a low profile, a very relaxed player, but he's not relaxed in the box in terms of the damage that he is doing, and certainly a key matchup for him tonight against what we expect is going to be a bullpen game for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Hey, JP, so much for that spring training, right? He got, what, 1 hit? Kind of reminded me of Ichiro back in the day when Lou Piniella was like, who is this guy? And he went out and got 200-some plus hits. I want to ask you, we talked about this in the winter when it came to Kyle Tucker. The winds you already touched on at Wrigley, and last year it was the worst ballpark. The ball did not carry, and it gave me some skepticism. Obviously, a little different story this year for him.
Harold, it's a great point. I was talking to Ron Coomer just as I came down here for this segment, and Ron said that last year and the year before that, the wind was blowing in a lot at Wrigley. So it's almost like this is a different ballpark. And by the way, happy birthday to Wrigley Field. I know Tom Verducci has some notes on that for our broadcast tonight. But Wrigley, this iconic old ballpark, is playing in a new way right now because it seems like the wind seems to be blowing out a bit more often this year than it was a year ago. Is this an April-only thing, or is there a change of the weather patterns? We've got the lake there. Lake Michigan hasn't moved, Harold, so that's one thing that we know. Lake Michigan, I can confirm, is still there. Drove by it today, but we'll see what that means in the later spring and summer months for Tucker. But you're exactly right. All the pressure of a contract year, he has been immune to any of that discussion so far.
Ohtani should have signed with the Cubs. He would have had 60 home runs with all that wind blowing out. He messed up. Look, it feels like Dave Roberts has to have a media scrum to address tonight's game every single day, and then a separate media scrum regarding Shohei Ohtani and when he's ever going to pitch again. It's like 2 completely different topics that he has to deal with on a daily basis. True?
2 stories all the time, Greg, with the Dodgers. And I can tell you this, Ohtani earlier today, there he is doing some throwing. He grabbed his glove, left the clubhouse, and all of us in the media, we left with him because he is the story no matter where he goes or what he does. This was a light throwing session, Greg. The expectation is a bit of a more intense session this weekend on Saturday. Obviously, he's not imminently close to returning, but of course he was away for a few days on the paternity list, so now he is back ramping up the throwing effort. The question now for the Dodgers, actually there's a lot of them. On the pitching side of things, as I mentioned, it's a bullpen game today. Ben Kasparius gets the start. Importantly for the Dodgers, elsewhere in the minor leagues today, Tony Gonsolin, who's been an all-star pitcher for them in the past, has one more rehab outing, Greg. If things go well for him, he could be back in the major leagues next week, and that is very welcome news with Blake Snell on the injured list, Bobby Miller still struggling, and very importantly with Yamamoto and Sasaki, they're basically now just only pitching on every 6th day, not every 5th day. So that's really causing a lot of additional complications in the pitching plans for Dave Roberts. So no one's going to have sympathy for the Dodgers, of course. They've got so many superstars, but the pitching matrix has not been easy for the Dodgers to set so far this season.
Hey, previous segment, I went to break promoting an interview with a former Division I middle infielder, right-handed bat, and he delivered. John Morosi of Harvard, well done, my friend.